Mr. Kirolos, thanks very much for your time today. I mean, we heard in that report there, and Save the Children has said, Yemeni children are facing a triple threat, not just bombs, but also hunger and disease.
Yes, obviously the toll of this 3.5 year war has especially been felt by children. Right now, as in the report that you have, we're looking at right now 4.2 million children at risk of famine. But also, if the disruption to the supplies of food and fuel from Hodeida to the rest of the north of the country, then we expect that maybe another million and potentially more children would be at risk of famine. Of course, children who are severely malnourished also are basically more susceptible to disease. We are looking at now in terms of a spike in the number of cholera cases. These have increased over the last consecutive 12 weeks. And obviously, if a child is severely malnourished and catches cholera, then they're more likely to die. So yes, it's been quite a terrible period for them, and we do feel that, again, if there is a disruption to the port, if it no longer becomes functional, if supplies can't come in, and then routes out of Hodeida, then the situation for children will be much worse.
I mean, this is an immensely difficult situation. Now, we're just seeing some images of the children who are suffering as you speak there. Just talk us through how Save the Children is working to help the most vulnerable on the ground in Yemen.
Okay. Obviously, we work in a wide range of sectors, but specifically vis-a-vis nutrition and malnutrition. We work with health facilities, and I must say that only really about a third of existing health facilities in Yemen are functioning now from pre-war levels. But we work with health facilities, health clinics and hospitals to be able to provide both supplementary feeding and therapeutical feeding for those children that are really malnourished. Obviously, what we're seeing right now with increase in the price of fuel, it's quadrupled over the last week since the attack has expanded. Also, the price of food is that families are having to make some very, very difficult decisions vis-a-vis how they spend their money. And what we're seeing in the situation is that families may not seek support or treatment for their children because maybe they can't afford it, or it's too far, it's not available. And in some instances, we've seen families come in very late after the child has been severely malnourished and has a lot of complications as well. And in that situation, unfortunately, we can't save them.
I mean, just a final question for you, Mr. Kirolos. Save the Children is urgently seeking additional support for the responses in Yemen. How can people help? What are you wanting people to do?
Well, right now, as we're gearing up for expanding our response right now, not just in Hodeida, but in the rest of the country because of the situation, we do need additional support to be able to bring in staff, to be able to bring in supplies, preposition supplies, medical supplies, leadership supplies, that enable us to be able to respond quicker to the needs of people as they move out of conflict areas, are displaced, or whether they are in areas where they can no longer access medical treatment or food supplies.
Okay, Tamer Kirolos of Save the Children speaking to us from Sana. Thanks very much.